Well, good morning, boys and girls. How's everyone today? I'm Mrs. Collins, and I am here at Farm Smart for our Friday live field trips. And today we have a very special treat. We're going a little bit past our Imperial Valley borders to a little town up the street called Mecca. Now, Mecca is special to me because my husband actually grew up in that little town of Mecca and went to the Mecca Elementary School. So I'm very familiar with where it's at. And you might have passed it before. It's on the way to Indio. We are going to Kent SeaTech Fish Farm. And it's kind of far away from us, so the internet is not that good. So if the internet goes out, then we'll just keep talking about aquaculture. And that's my first question actually is what do you think aquaculture is? If you have the word aqua, can someone type in the Q&A? If you have aqua, what does aqua refer to? Anybody know? Well, okay, someone from Miss Griffin's class says water or a color. And usually the first definition is a color, meaning bluish green. But when we go back to how words are written, like from original Latin, aqua refers to water. And then the word culture or cultivate is growing of something, traits and characteristics. And so when you put aquaculture together, it's about growing things in water, whether it's wildlife like fish or even plants can be grown in water for people to use. As soon as she gets back on, we will start with her. But I have a couple of pictures I can show you so you can kind of be thinking about what she's going to be showing you. This is a fish farm. And so normally you think of fishing as like in an ocean or out in a river or a stream like we do here or in a canal. But this is a picture of where Miss Ellie's at. So it's all of these ponds with all these fish. And she's going to be showing us the different ponds that are there. And they have a nursery, which is where they have the female fish with all of the eggs that are laid there and where they hatch them. Here's a closer view of what she's showing right here. Okay, we have Ellie back on, so let me get her going here.
Hi, my name's Ellie, and I'm the biologist here at Kent SeaTech. We are an aquaculture facility, which is a fish farm. So we have 5 different species. We have hybrid striped bass, largemouth bass, tilapia, catfish, and carp. In this tank, I'm gonna see if I can catch a fish. It might be a little difficult, but our hybrid striped bass are in here. So this is one of our hybrid striped bass. He is still a baby.
So what's a baby considered? Like how old?
He is probably about 6 months.
And when will he be harvested?
So he'll be ready in about a year. So another 6 months, we're hoping he would be up to size. So we try and get them up to a pound, pound and a half to get them ready for the markets.
Yeah, we were talking about what aquaculture means, and a lot of students had the right answer, that it refers to water and growing things in water, including fish as well as plants.
Yeah, so we don't grow plants. That's aquaponics. We just grow fish.
Mm-hmm.
And in this tank, we have largemouth. These ones are getting ready to harvest at this point. So these 2 are actually too small, but this guy right here, he's actually about ready to go.
And what kind of fish? Oh, wow. He's slippery.
Yeah, so that's a largemouth bass.
So what's the water like? Do you have to control the water temperature, or what is anything special?
So right now we're running about 5,000 gallons a minute of well water, which is all fresh water. And the temperature is about 80 degrees, and we usually run the well water around this time because it's the warmer water that we have. And usually their feeding response drops around this time because that's kind of cold for them. During the summer, their feeding response goes up because our temperatures get up to about 86 degrees. So they'll eat a lot more during the summer, and our water usage will go to about 9 to 10,000.
I said you froze just a little bit, but we kind of got the gist that they eat more in the summer and less in the winter based on the water temperature.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So right now it's about 80 degrees.
So what are those pumps that are kind of moving water around? Why are those important?
So those create oxygen for our fish. If that turns off, these fish can die. So this is a tank that's empty. These tanks hold 55,000 gallons.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, these are baby largemouth. You want to see these? Yeah. I don't know if I can get one. Okay, so these ones are a lot smaller compared to the first largemouth that I showed you. So these ones are babies.
So do you have to move them from tank to tank, or do you start them in one tank and they stay there until harvest?
So no, we do move them from tank to tank. So they'll start off in our nursery, which is over there. So we'll start them off like about that size in the nursery. Then when they're about this size, we move them out here. And then because these fish are so aggressive, we have to make sure that we take the big fish out. So we will grade them, and we'll take the big fish, we'll move them to another tank. And then once they grow again, we have to move them to another tank. So yes, we're constantly moving.
How is a fish aggressive?
So they will eat each other.
Wow.
Yeah, if they're small enough with the bigger fish in there, they'll eat each other. Sometimes I'll catch a fish with a fish in its mouth, and then he ends up dying because he can't eat the fish because it's a little big.
And some kids are asking what you feed the fish.
We feed them fish food. So there's some right here too. I don't know if we moved any in here. Yeah, we moved tilapia in here. So this is the fish food.
And what's in there? What kind of nutrients?
There's protein in there. We'll just throw them in there. So I'll throw some in this one. Maybe we'll get a response out of these. They were just fed this morning, so sometimes they won't eat. They kind of have a routine, and they know when it's not. But some fish, if they're really hungry, they will come up.
Is that a net that's over or fencing that's over the pond?
So this is a tank, a cement tank. Yes, we put netting over it to help prevent from coming in and eating the fish. We're really close to the Salton Sea, so a lot of the birds will fly over here because they know that there's food, and they'll eat all our fish if we don't cover them up.
Free food.
To one of our largest tanks. Still one over there.
So I wanted to remind the boys and girls, because some are asking where you're at. And so you're about 1 hour from El Centro, is that correct? About 45 minutes maybe?
Yes. Yeah, we're about an hour from El Centro.
Out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, we're probably about 15, 30 minutes from Salton Sea. We're not too far. And I'm from the Imperial Valley. I was born and raised out there. So this is our tilapia channel. So the water that's coming from these big tanks over here will come through this channel, and the fish will eat whatever's in that water. And then it'll go out and it'll go to another tank over there. We'll go see it in a minute. But there's bacteria in that water that'll eat whatever else is in that water. And then it'll go out to our wetlands where you see all the trees out there. It'll go out there and it'll get cleaned by those wetlands. So we try and recycle as much as possible.
Someone's asking about the health of the fish. Like, do fish sometimes get sick?
Oh, absolutely. So that's my main job. My main job is to try and keep these fish as healthy as possible. So during certain times of the year, they'll get sick with certain parasites. So I have to figure out what's the best way to treat them and get them healthy again.
How would you know if the fish is sick?
So I observe their behavior daily, and if I notice that they're acting a little different, I will take one out that doesn't look too good, and I will have to kill it and check it to see if it has any parasites.
And then you, as you said before, then you have different treatment methods in order to make sure that all the fish are healthy.
Yes. So this is our largest tank. This holds over 1 million gallons of water.
Wow.
And it could hold up to 140,000 fish.
What kind of fish is in there right now?
Right now we have largemouth.
And boys and girls, once again, reminding you that those fans are in the water. That machinery is creating oxygen in there, keeping the water flowing and creating oxygen. Do you make the fish food there?
No, we have to buy it. So these fish are usually always hungry.
We see some shadows. Are those very large fish?
Yeah, so they're splashing right now. They're about 1 pound.
Well, we can see them coming up and getting the little splashing. Yes, we can see that.
Yeah.
So do these fish leave the fish farm alive, or are they harvested at your site?
No, these will leave alive. And they go to markets in LA and San Diego, and they will, a lot of the people over there like their fish live. They like to see what they're getting. So they will go to those markets, but because of, I think it's fish and wildlife regulations, they won't leave live from those markets.
So someone's asking about how you clean the tanks.
We don't clean the tanks. They just kind of filter out with the water that's being put in.
And remember, boys and girls, she talked about with that water being emptied in and out, it's recycled through wetlands. And a wetlands is an amazing environmental ecosystem that will help clean water. It'll suck up toxins or things that are in the water through plants and soil, and that water then enters back into a fresh water source cleaner than when it went in.
Yeah, right now we are top grading for harvest. So they will take the biggest fish out of those tanks, put it in another tank, and Monday they will take them out to San Diego and LA. Oh, so that's the feed. We will go through that within 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, they eat about 6,000 pounds a day.
How many tanks altogether do you have?
We have 98 tanks. And we have about 1.6 million fish on the farm at the moment.
Boys and girls, did you hear that? 1.6 million fish out there in Mecca. That's amazing. How many people work there?
We have about 16 people that work a small crew.
And are some of them, have they studied like biology and what kinds of things have they studied to work there?
No, we have 3 biologists at the moment, but the rest have just learned over years.
Well, experience really counts, and you kind of get the feel for what you need to do.
We're gonna raise the fish right now.
Someone's asking if you ever have any like theft problems, like would someone come and steal fish?
No, because we have so many people that live on site that no, people don't try and come in. So we're lucky in that way.
Could you explain again a little? Oh, so let's watch the harvest first, and then we'll go back to a question. Oh, they have to get in the pond?
So yeah, these are cement tanks. So they get into these tanks.
And they're wearing a special suit?
Yeah, they have wetsuits on. So they'll scoop the fish up and they'll put them into that bucket. Want to come over here? The biggest fish.
Do they have to kind of check the size and weight as they sort them there?
Yeah, they're pretty good at it though. They've been doing this for so long that they already know what sizes are good for market. So they're picking and choosing which ones would be good. So the rest, they just dump.
So does it smell fishy out there?
To me it doesn't, but to some other people it does.
Does it smell?
Does it smell fishy?
I'm new. It's very slight fishy.
It's a very slight fishy smell.
Boys and girls, I wanted to remind you to try to use the Q&A to ask your questions in. It's hard for me to check both the chat and the Q&A, so I'll try to get most of them. Some of your questions are repeated from other boys and girls, so that's why I may not be asking it exactly the way you want, but try to use the Q&A for your questions, okay? So does everyone see what they're doing? They're still getting that fish out and putting it in the basket. Now, Ellie, where does that bucket go?
So once they put them all in that net, they're gonna lift it and they're gonna put it into this truck, and this truck is gonna take it to another tank. And once they take it to that tank, they're ready to go.
Okay.
We could go look at that tank. I mean, it doesn't look any different really, but we could look at it. Just watch your step. So these are our emergency oxygen lines right here.
So in case those turbines stop turning, you have oxygen.
Yes,
there,
just in
the
case.
Water.
Because there's times where we will lose power, and if we lose power, everything shuts off. So we have to run our generators, but if we can't get our generators running in time, we'll turn on all the oxygen. So this is our harvest tank, and they will go into this pretty much every day. And with all the handling, sometimes we do get dead fish, but yeah, this is the tank where they will come in and take these out to the markets. And then we also have our harvest tilapia tank. We have our harvest catfish tank, but it's on the other side and you really can't see anything because the water's so murky, because the catfish love that murky water. But these ones you can kind of see.
Someone's asking where the water comes from, and you mentioned that before. It's just water from well water that you have there in the Coachella Valley. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So we have well water, and then so this water is well water. This water is recycled water, but we're not really using it right now because the water temperatures are so cold.
How long has Kent SeaTech been there?
So it started up in 1982, and then it shut down in 2008, and then we restarted in 2014. So this facility has been here since 1982.
Someone wants to know if fish can bite, if these fish bite.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So the largemouth will bite. The tilapia, not so much. All other fish, not so much, but the largemouth will bite. And right now, during the colder seasons when they're aggressive, they absolutely will bite.
Now, earlier we were having trouble in the nursery, but some kids have some questions about the eggs, the fish eggs, and like if you harvest them or if the fish are born, you know, how are those, are the eggs collected and stored for the fish to be born?
Yeah, so I was just gonna show you, we're gonna try and show you. Now our largemouth bass are pregnant. They're producing their eggs. And I was gonna try and show you one. So let's see if this works.
Okay. Boys and girls, we do have some trouble when she goes under the shed with the video, so just hang with us, okay?
So do you want to wait right here and then I'll try and grab one?
Did she mean grab, like she's actually just gonna pick one up out of the, use her net to bring one out to us? So were you
if I can get one.
Were you ever afraid of fish, Ellie?
No, I grew up fishing and hunting and stuff, so no. So this is one of our brood stock. This one's not so bloated, but you can kind of see her belly. Her belly's kind of getting there.
Yes.
But yeah, she's pretty big.
So she will release eggs and then you will.
Yes. So once they're ready to go, we will move them over there. The part where it doesn't have any shade on it, right there. And we will put egg mats. And they will go over their egg mats and they will lay all their eggs, and then the males will come in and fertilize them, and then they'll be ready to go. Once they hatch, you can see them all around the tanks. We'll scoop those out and we'll take them into, and then once they kind of get a little bit bigger.
About how big is the fish when it hatches?
Oh, they are so small, they're barely visible.
Like about a half an inch?
No. They're super tiny to where you can barely see them.
Wow.
So I can't even give you a number. But once they get a little bit bigger, we will take them out to our ponds, and our ponds will just kind of grow them naturally.
And they just start eating fish food right away?
No. So they will go out there and they'll eat rotifers and whatever's in the water. And then we'll start feed training them. So when they're out there, we'll go throw a scoop of feed. And then they'll maybe eat it, maybe won't. But we kind of train them that way to try and get them to understand that that's how we feed them.
Okay.
So these are the tanks where we will put them with their egg mats, and they will lay their eggs in here. Right now we have tilapia, and we produce more tilapia than largemouth. We try and do about 750,000 tilapia fry. And the way that works is the tilapia will lay their eggs, but they'll hold on to them in their mouth. And then we go in and we get the eggs out of their mouths and we take them to upwelling jars. I'm going to see if I can show you one of those. But we'll put the eggs in an upwelling jar, run oxygen through it, and then let them hatch.
Wow.
They'll hatch on their own. And then once they hatch, we move them into small tanks again. And once they get bigger, we then move them into these tanks.
And the fish that have laid the eggs, they just go through a normal, like a life cycle as far as going on to another pond to be harvested?
So we will keep them for maybe 5 years-ish. It just depends on how much they're producing, because they can produce 20 to 100 eggs. But once they start getting onto that lower, like 20 eggs, we end up taking them out, putting them into harvest.
Okay, so you have some fish that are just for reproduction, for laying eggs.
Yes, yes. So we'll select for certain traits. If they look big or they're growing faster, we'll select those. So once they get bigger and they come out of these tanks in the nursery, they'll come to this side. Once they get a little bit bigger, they'll go to the other side. And that's the side we started on.
An aerial photo that I'm going to show. I've taken an aerial photo. So boys and girls, this is what we're looking at, this aerial photo here of what it looks like from the sky. So many tanks.
So these fish get fed 3 times a day because they're still growing. They're not too hungry right now, so they're not really eating the fish, or the feed, sorry. And if they don't eat the food, this water will get very murky. It's already murky, but it gets worse if they don't eat. So then when it gets too murky, we won't feed them.
Elliot, someone has a really good question about why do we need fish farms?
So fish farms produce food. So that people don't go and overfish streams or lakes or oceans, we do aquaculture and we raise fish to help regrow those populations.
Is there such thing as organic fish farming, or is this pretty much all of it's organic, or do you have to do?
I think the most organic you can probably get is with the ponds, but at some point you kind of have to supplement feed. I would think.
Sure.
So this is a catfish tank, and this is pretty murky, but
We
that's
have had
just
a
how
lot
they
of-
like it.
Someone wants to know if you've ever had a situation where you had like a lot of fish that were sick.
Oh yeah, so it recently happened. But the reason they were so sick was because when the pandemic started, we weren't as much food for our fish. So we had a lot of fish that were dying, and there was really nothing I can do other than ask them to buy more food. So it was kind of stressful because we were losing quite a bit.
And then if the fish die off, is there a use for that fish?
We kind of like compost it.
We had an organic farmer on our field trip last week, and he was talking about the fish emulsion that is used in the organic fields as a fertilizer.
Yeah, it's good fertilizer. So this tank's a little far, but we'll go to the catfish tank and I'll try and get one.
Someone wants to know, what is your favorite fish?
My favorite fish to eat or to look at, well, actually kind of both. So I like to eat largemouth and hybrid striped bass, but they're also very pretty fish.
Once again, there's several questions about, remind them about the nets. Someone's asking if an eagle has ever taken a fish, and I know you shared with us before.
Oh yeah,
how you protect the ponds. Could you say that again, how you protect the ponds from the birds?
Yeah, so we have netting around a lot of our ponds. I don't know if you could see it right here, but there's netting around this pond, and it goes all around the perimeter of the pond, and then we have strings that go across the ponds to try and deter birds. And we have had hawks. We had about 5 3 months ago that were just kind of hanging out. Okay.
All right, here's Ellie at the big old catfish pond.
No. They already swam away.
They see you coming.
Yeah. Once I stick my net in there, they know.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, can you see that catfish in there? She's got a couple of them. They're so active.
Oh, yeah. And then there's a baby one.
Yep. Are you right there by a food bin? Could you show the food again, please? So boys and girls, Ellie reminded us that this has just nutrients that fish need, different proteins and minerals and vitamins that they need. So they're small little pellets, and they don't make the food there, but they purchase it from a company that sells the fish food for these farms. So how do you sell the fish? Do you have people that work there that sell it to restaurants and stores?
Yeah, so we have trucks that drive up to LA and San Diego. One of the trucks is our personal truck, and then we have another supplier or person that supplies the markets up there.
What's your favorite thing about working there?
Playing with the fish. Yeah, getting to see them grow and definitely handling them.
Someone wants to know if fish sleep. Do fish sleep?
I don't think they do. I don't know, maybe they do.
They're in constant motion, I think.
Yeah, some of our fish, well, we have hybrid striped bass, and those ones are schooling fish. So I think they're active all the time.
Could you explain what schooling means?
So schooling means that they stay in a group, and everything they do is in a group. And it's a safety thing for fish.
Sure.
Yeah, kind of like a herd.
All right.
So this is our pond.
Okay.
And this one's empty right now. We're trying to empty it out so that we can put our baby largemouth out here.
So that's not cement pond lined or anything. It's just a dirt pond.
No.
And
yeah, this is clay pond.
Okay. And that's an environment that they prefer?
The catfish love it. Our largemouth do very well out here too, but the cement tanks as well. We prefer to keep our catfish out here, but they're harder to take out.
Remind us again what kind of fish that you have there at your fish farm?
So we have largemouth bass, hybrid striped bass, carp, catfish, and tilapia.
And someone wants to know if any of the fish have ever jumped out of the ponds.
Oh yes, the carp jump like crazy. So we have to make sure that water level stays to about half, because if we don't, they'll jump out.
And do you ever use any of these fish to replant, like in rivers and streams for fishing?
We only sell to one person that actually goes and stocks some ponds and private lakes.
All right. So do you have any final words for us about maybe kids getting interested in aquaculture? And how kids can get interested in aquaculture, or activities that they can do to learn more?
I mean, you guys can come out here if you'd like once all this stuff's over.
Do you take, someone wanted to know if you take volunteers?
We haven't, but I could always ask.
I want to thank you for joining us today. And they're always nice to see people from the Imperial Valley who are working in lots of different areas of agriculture. And aquaculture was something we have not covered before at all here at Farm Smart. So we were especially excited to have you on our program today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday. Bye-bye.